Good morning to all. We are going to start our class 9 today. And today we're going to talk about boundary layer concepts. So at the outset, let us examine what is boundary layer all about. So when a fluid past a solid object, there is a resistance which is being offered by the solid boundary. Okay. So what happens when there is a resistance being offered by the solid boundary? The velocity profile or the velocity distribution along the length of the plate varies, which is not constant. And for doing so, or doing that, we get a distribution of velocity at the leading edge to the trailing edge, where velocity varies from 0 to 99% of the free stream velocity. Okay, and this velocity distribution of the boundary layer concept is very prevalent when the Reynolds number is high. I think I have already talked about the effect of Reynolds number, or how do you calculate Reynolds number when the fluid passed flow through a tube or pipe. But when a fluid passed on an object of a flat plate, the Reynolds numbers are different for the criteria of laminar region and turbulent region. We'll see within a few minutes how Reynolds number vary when a fluid passed a solid plate. So what happens when the Reynolds number are very high, in the order of 10 to the power 5 and 10 to the power 6? A viscous boundary layer is formation occur adjacent to the solid surface. Okay, and beyond that there is a non-viscous region which is known as inviscid region or inviscid flow. Okay, so let us examine looking at a car. Okay, if a very high speed wind is flowing, what happens? The car is in stationary position, as you can see, but since the fluid is getting resisted, or fluid pattern is obstructed by the car, the fluid flow forms a shape of the car, okay, where the velocity is minimum, almost zero, at the interface or at the boundary of the car body and the fluid. So you can see this fluid pattern actually take the shape of the car, and this is where the maximum viscosity variation occurs as we move from the car body to the far away. And as you can see, there is no resistance at the bottom or in between these two layers. So that is, the black region is known as invisible region because hardly there is any resistance. So that's how the boundary layer comes into picture, because whenever there is an obstruction in the fluid path, the fluid velocity takes the shape of the body, and then the fluid velocity varies from 0 to maximum or almost 99% of the free stream velocity. So let's look into this. So it was first proposed by Prandtl in 1904. What he said that a thin layer adjoining the solid boundary is known as boundary layer, where the viscous effect and the rotation effect cannot be neglected. So that has to be considered. And then an outer region far away from the surface of the object, where viscous effects are very small and can be neglected. The flow behavior is similar to the upstream velocity or upstream flow behavior. So there are two regions. One is that at the interface of the solid phase, solid plate, solid boundary, where viscous effects is very prominent, and another is the far away from the surface, where viscous effect can be neglected. So let's look into this first. This figure 2 actually, as you can see, this is actually talks about how the boundary layer concept evolves. What you can see here, this is my solid plate. Okay, this is my solid plate of the wall, as you can see, and you can see the velocity distribution is like starting from 0 to all the way to here it is 99%. This is my upstream velocity. As you can see, the V given by the arrow from left to right, this is my upstream velocity. This is my free stream velocity, which is maximum velocity. But since there is no obstruction, the velocity of the fluid is constant. Okay, but what happens when there is a resistance being offered by the wall? The velocity is, the moment that this fluid comes in contact with the solid surface, the velocity becomes zero. But again, fluid past the solid wall, the velocity is not zero, but actually gradually increases from zero to the maximum. So this region, this imaginary boundary from here to here is known as the boundary layer. Okay, this imaginary line is known as the boundary layer. And if you take a cross section, if you take a velocity profile, as I am pointing my arrow, as you can see, what you see here, there is resistance being offered, right? So the velocity is not constant. There is all kinds of mixing and other things happen, but the velocity is actually gradually increasing. The moment it crosses that imaginary boundary line, the velocity again constant. So this is my velocity profile. As you can see, this is my velocity profile, which is varying from 0 to maximum. At this location also, the velocity profile is changing. Gradually, it is increasing, and then it is free stream velocity. So this is my leading edge. This is my leading edge, and this is my trailing edge. Okay. And as you can see, at the leading edge, the velocity is very minimum. The velocity is very minimum, so it forms a laminar boundary layer. Okay. So this is why it's called laminar boundary layer, because initially there is hardly any resistance. Okay. The fluid velocity is very small, so that can be said as laminar boundary layer. Next to the laminar boundary layer, or the adjacent to the laminar boundary layer, there is a transition region. Okay, there is a mixing of fluid behavior, and far away from the transition region, there is a turbulent boundary layer. So here all kinds of mixing happens. So as the boundary layer thickness increases, or as the boundary layer thickens, we move from laminary layer to laminary boundary layer to turbulent boundary layer, and this is actually known as the thickness of the boundary layer is given by delta, which is maximum at the turbulent region. So thickness of the boundary layer also not constant, but generally the boundary layer thickness delta is being determined at the turbulent region, where the free stream velocity, where the fluid velocity, that is V, is equal to the free stream velocity, or 99% of the free stream velocity. Now let's look into this, like the lines are given. What you can see, there are the turbulent region can be subdivided into 4 regions. The 4 regions are viscous sublayer, buffer layer, overlap layer, and turbulent layer. So the viscous sublayer is actually adjacent to the wall. Okay, the viscous sublayer is actually adjacent to the wall, and where the fluid velocity is almost constant, or it's almost a streamline velocity. That's why it's called viscous sublayer. Next to the viscous sublayer, there is viscosity increases, but still the fluid is in the laminar region. So that is called buffer layer. Next to the buffer layer, there is overlap layer. There is a mixing of fluid velocity happens, and so there is the onset of transition, the onset of turbulent regions occurs. Okay, and then above the overlap layer, there is a turbulent layer where the fluid velocity is completely turbulent. So those definitions are given in these slides. You can look into these slides and read all the definitions are given for boundary layer, laminar boundary layer, turbulent layer, laminar sublayer. That's why I have already explained. So this is very important. This schematic diagram is very important to understand the boundary layer concept. So as I said, the fluid stream velocity is moving from left to right. The moment it comes in contact with the solid surface, solid wall, solid plate, the velocity momentarily becomes 0, and then it gradually increases from 0 to the maximum, or 99%. This imaginary line, which is dividing the free stream velocity with the velocity due to the viscous region, is called the boundary region. Okay, and this is the boundary layer thickness, and the boundary layer can be divided into 3 regions: laminar region, transition region, and turbulent regions. All right, let's move forward. And what I just explained is been written here. You can read this. This is my class note. You can read it from here. That is, I mentioned that AB line here. Actually, I have given it. AB line is known as the boundary layer. Okay, and the boundary layer thickness given by the delta. Okay, and let's move forward. So boundary layer thickness, that is most important, as I said. Boundary layer thickness is defined as the vertical distance from a flat plate to a point where the flow velocity reaches 99% of the velocity of the free stream, or upstream free stream velocity. That's what I just mentioned, that is given by delta. Another definition of boundary layer, that the boundary layer displacement thickness is given by delta star, and boundary layer momentum thickness theta. We will not cover boundary layer momentum thickness, but we are going to cover the displacement thickness delta star. Let's look into this. What is the boundary layer displacement thickness delta star is? Now, consider 2 types of fluid flow: past a stationary horizontal plate, with velocity is given by capital U, as shown in figure 3. I'll come to that figure 3. So I think better to see that figure 3. What happens? This is figure 3. In the first region, first case, there is hardly any resistance being offered by the solid wall. Okay, so the fluid velocity is constant. So this is actually, as you can see from the interface from the solid wall, and as we move away from the solid wall, the fluid velocity is constant because there is hardly any resistance being offered. In the second case, as you can see, the velocity is not constant. It is gradually changing or it's gradually increasing. So this is why the boundary layer, this dotted line is actually the boundary layer. Okay. And this is the velocity profile. So the dotted region, because here this boundary layer, boundary concept derived or developed. Okay. So there are two regions. There are two scenarios. One is A, where there is hardly no boundary layer concept, and then the second scenario where boundary layer has been developed. So what I was telling that the two types of fluid flow, first a stationary horizontal plate with velocity given by capital U. In the first case, there is no viscosity for the case of ideal fluid. Uniform velocity profile is developed. So the fluid exhibits no viscosity. So that's why there is the fluid exhibits an ideal fluid behavior where velocity profile is constant. In the second case, the velocity, the real fluid has a viscosity. So the velocity gradient is developed in the boundary layer region for the case of real fluid with the presence of viscosity and no slip at the wall. Okay. So the velocity deficit. What is the velocity deficit? That is the maximum velocity to the minus to the actual velocity. Maximum velocity is capital U, but actual velocity is changing, small u. So the deficit of velocity will be capital U minus U. Okay, across the strip, this is my strip, BB star, BB. Okay, BB is my strip, cross section. Then the reduction of mass flow rate is obtained by how much mass flow rate is reduction can be given by U minus U, B dy into rho. So that is B is the plate width, dy is the thickness of that the boundary layer, and rho is the density of the fluid. So if you multiply that with the velocity, you get a reduction of mass flow rate. So the total mass flow rate will be integral of that mass flow rate over the whole boundary layer thickness, that is 0 from delta, because 0 is the leading edge and delta is at the trailing edge. So if you integrate this by integration, you can get the total mass reduction rate. Okay. So let's look into the next slide. However, if we displace the plate upward by a distance delta star at section AA, so what happens here? Let's look into this part. This was my initial velocity profile. Velocity is gradually changing and then it reaches the maximum. That is, what you become 99% of capital U, as I said in the previous slide. So this will be my delta. That is my boundary layer thickness. I think you all know, right? This is my delta because now the velocity has reached 99% of the free stream velocity. Now what happened if we raises the plate such that the reduction in the mass flow rate is being compensated. Okay, the reduction in the mass flow rate, which I was telling, is being compensated by the equal amount of because the integration you are doing over the whole area. So that equal area of the reduction in the mass flow rate can be compensated by increasing by raising the plate thickness. Okay, so that is this gray region is giving actually the idea about how that the boundary layer thickness is being now raised and that is being compensated. Okay, so that was I was telling. If you displace the plate upward by a distance delta star to give mass reduction of rho capital U B delta star, then deficit of the flow rate for the both cases would be identical. Then these two equations can be equalized, and then if you solve for delta star, this equation becomes like this. Here, this delta star is known as the boundary layer displacement thickness. So actually, you can see delta star is nothing but actually same like what boundary layer, which is calculated based on the known boundary layer constant. Okay, that equation actually, since U is varying and dy is also varying, so you can see that if you know the velocity profile, or if you function of the velocity profile, you can calculate the displacement, the boundary layer displacement thickness. Okay, so that's why I was telling the displacement thickness represents the vertical distance that the solid boundary must be displaced. That is my solid boundary. This is my solid boundary displaced, so that the ideal fluid has the same mass flow rate as the real fluid. Okay, so that's how you calculate the boundary layer displacement thickness. So technique of boundary layer analysis can be used to compute viscous effect near solid wall and to patch this onto outer Hilbert region. Let's look into two examples and how do you calculate the or what is the velocity profile, okay, when the Reynolds numbers are varying. In figure 6, we'll come to that. I think let's look into this first and then we'll discuss it. What do you see here in the first case, the Reynolds number is very low. Reynolds number is 10. Okay, and this is my free stream velocity capital U. The moment it comes in contact with the plate of length L, what happens that a region is being formed where actually viscosity is varying. Okay, as you can see, viscosity is varying, and beyond that there is an invisible region. There is hardly any viscosity. Okay, the viscosity effects is within this dotted region, and what happens that this is given by delta equal to L. Then delta is the boundary layer thickness. So this imaginary line actually tells us about the boundary layer thickness. Okay, so this is actually the demarcating the viscous region and the non-viscous region or invisible region. And if you plot the velocity profile, you can see velocity profile is reaching 99% of the free stream velocity at this position. That will be my boundary layer thickness. Okay, so here it will be velocity will be 0 because the moment the near to the wall or the flat plate, the velocity is completely 0, but it's gradually increasing. Okay. And in the case 2, here actually the both are same, only cases are different is that Reynolds number is very high. So Reynolds number is almost 10 to the power 7. So then what happens, there is the region, the viscous region is very thin, as you can see. The viscous region is very thin and there is all kinds of mixing. So here it is laminar region, there is an intermixing, and then it is turbulent region. Okay. So the viscous region thin, very thin, and that's why there are three. You cannot demarcate laminar, turbulent, and transition region in the case of low viscosity. When the viscosity, so the Reynolds number is very low. But in case of Reynolds number very high, you can see there are three regions can be easily demarcated: the laminar boundary layer, turbulent layer, and in between there is a transition region. Okay. And this viscous layer is very thin. That's how you have to keep it in mind. And the velocity profile is also very narrow. You can see velocity is almost, it's varying very over a small distance. So boundary layer thickness is very small. And then it is gradually becoming 99% of the free stream velocity. So let's look into this. So what I was telling that in figure 6, a uniform stream capital U moves parallel to a sharp flat plate of length L. If the Reynolds number UL by nu. So this is also another term I might know whether you guys are aware of it. The formula of Reynolds number is d0 by nu. If you remember, d is the diameter of the tube, and for a flat plate, it is x0 by mu. X is the length of the flat plate. But why is that nu coming here? The nu is actually kinematic viscosity, which is mu by rho. So if you put mu by rho, the rho will come on the numerator. So that is can be Reynolds number can be given by UL by rho. Okay, UL by nu also, because nu is actually kinematic viscosity, that is mu by rho. So anyway, the Reynolds number is very low. The viscous region is very broad and extend far ahead and to the sides of the plate. That's what I was mentioning. The plate deters the oncoming stream directly, and small changes in flow parameter cause large changes in the pressure distribution along the plate. In the second, however, there is no existing simple theory for external flow analysis Reynolds number from 1 to 1000. Such thick shear layer flow are typically studied by experiment or by numerical modeling. So this type of fluid behavior where Reynolds number are very low, that has to be solved by numerical analysis or modeling. Okay, but for reality, the fluid velocity is very high, and we have some equations. Let's look into that. A high Reynolds number flow, as I mentioned, is much more amenable to boundary layer patching, as first pointed out by Prandtl. The viscous layers, either laminar, turbulent, are very thin, thinner, even than the drawing show. Okay, the drawing is actually exaggerated. You can say that the region of laminar and turbulent is very thin. We define the boundary layer thickness delta as the locus of point where velocity U parallel to the plate reaches 99%. I think already I talked about it. What is boundary layer thickness? The moment it reaches 99% of the free stream velocity, so this is my boundary layer thickness. Just reiterate the fact. Okay, let's look into this expression. This is another very good. I think I'll come to the next slide, but let me tell you that Reynolds number, as you see, Reynolds number is varying. Okay, and as you see, 10 to the power 4, 10 to the power 5, 10 to the power 6, 10 to the power 7, 10 to the power 8. The delta by x. Delta by x is what is delta is the boundary layer thickness, and x is the length of the plate. So this is a delta by x is a dimensional parameter. So if the 10 to the power 6, actually 2 into 10 to the power 5 into 10 to the power 6 is known as the transition region. If Reynolds number is between 2 into 10 to the power 5 to 10 to the power 6, when the fluid passes the flat plate, that is known as transition region. So that's why you have calculated delta by x for laminar and turbulent. But less than that, it is laminar region, and above that, it is turbulent region. So that's why these are done. Because when the Reynolds number is 10 to the power 4 or 10 to the power 5, only laminar flow can be developed. However, if it is greater than 10 to the power 6, only turbulent flow can be developed. That's what is being said. I'll come to the next slide and I'll show you the range. I think that is written here with parallel flow along the plate. Turbulent flow first appear at a critical Reynolds number between 10 to the power 5 to 3 to 10 to the power 6. So less than 10 to the power 5, I would say, or 10 to the power 5. Actually, 10 to the power 5 to 10, 3 to the power 10 to the 3 into 10 to the power 6 is the transition region. Less than 10 to the power 5, 10 to the power 5 and less than that Reynolds number is laminar region, and 10 to the power 6 and greater than Reynolds number is for turbulent region. So this is very important number. This you have to remember. This is completely different like what Reynolds number we discussed for a fluid flow through a tube or a pipe. For a flat plate, this is the Reynolds number region. Okay. When you do any kind of numerical analysis, you have to keep this number in mind that if it is below 10 to the power 5, or then it will be laminar flow, and more than 10 to the power 6, it will be a turbulent flow. Now, for the flow of a fluid past a flat plate at zero distance, the thickness delta of the boundary layer is given by lambda by x. 4.64 times Reynolds number. You see here x is coming, Rex given. X is actually signifies that you have not seen this x when you do the numerical for fluid flow through a tube, but the x comes here because it is the fluid flow through a flat plate. Where x is the distance along the plate. Okay, so that's why this x terms come here. X is the distance from the leading edge. So 4.64 Rex to the power minus 0.5. This equation holds if it is a laminar layer, and delta by x 0.376 times Reynolds number minus 0.2 if it is a turbulent region. Okay, the thickness of the laminar sublayer, I think I have already mentioned what is sublayer is, given by lambda L. L stands for sublayer, is given by 71.5 Reynolds number to the power minus 0.9. And this is the most important equation that I was telling. Rex is given by x v rho by mu. What is d v rho by mu? Here x comes. X is the distance from the leading edge of the plate. V is the free stream velocity, not the velocity distribution. This is the free stream velocity. Rho is the density and mu is the viscosity. Yeah? Rex point at which turbulence appear in a laminar boundary. This is very important. Now let's look into another aspect that is called transition length for laminar and turbulent flow. The length of the entrance region of the boundary layer or of the tube. So if fluid flowing through a tube necessary the length of the entrance region of the tube necessary for the boundary layer to reach the center of the tube and for fully developed flow to be established is called the transition length. So what actually it says that if a fluid is flowing through a tube, you can see this line, you can see this is actually boundary layer. What is meaning the boundary layer? That means the velocity is actually changing. And beyond the boundary layer, I'm just pointing my finger. This is my invisible region where there is free stream velocity already been developed. So as the fluid comes in contact with the wall, okay, the fluid gets squeezed into small. Okay, so actually there is a resistance being offered at the wall. So fluid the velocity gradually decreases. Okay, so you can see this is my boundary layer, and then it goes, and then it's converges to a point. What does that mean? The converges to the point mean it is actually that is my transition length. That whole length which is being traversed by the fluid to develop a fully developed flow. This is my fully developed flow. Now it is the whole region is actually varying, the velocity is varying. Okay, so that is why it is called fully developed. But here it was the invisible region. The fluid velocity was equal to the free stream velocity. So the expression is given by xi by d 0.05 times Rex, where xi is the transition length. So xi is the transition length from here to here. Okay, the length from left to right, the horizontal line, and d is the diameter of the pipe, and Rex is already is Reynolds number. Okay, I'll show you in a better slide. I think this is actually, if you can see this slide, you can understand very well. So what is happening here, the fluid entering into that pipe, and this is the line, and this bottom line, you can see the fluid velocity is changing. Okay, fluid velocity is changing. This is the velocity boundary layer. The velocity boundary layer here, fluid velocity is constant. Okay, this is velocity is changing. So this is my boundary layer. This is my boundary layer, and the boundary layer converges to a point, and then the whole region is called fully developed. Now the boundary layer has been come. So this length is called transition length. It is given hydrodynamic entrance region, same as transition length. And that's hydrodynamically fully developed. This is my fully developed. So let's look into this. What is Consider a fluid entering a circular pipe at a uniform velocity. Because there is no slip condition, the fluid particle in the layer in contact with the surface of the pipe comes to a complete stop. So at the here fluid velocity is completely zero, okay, but then it gradually increases. Because here the resistance is maximum at the wall, so fluid velocity will be zero and then it gradually increasing at the as it moves towards the center. The layer also causes the fluid particle in the adjacent layer to slow down gradually as a result of friction. The region of the flow in which the effect of the viscous shearing force caused by the fluid velocity at field is called the velocity boundary layer or the boundary layer. So I think all of you know what is boundary layer. So this region where the velocity is varying is known as the boundary layer. It is called velocity boundary layer. And the region inside where there is no like disturbances or viscosity effect, that is known as irrotational flow region, or it's the invisible region. Okay. The hypothetical boundary surface divides the flow in a pipe into two regions. One is the boundary region, in which the viscous effects and the velocity change are significant, and the another is the irrotational or port flow region, in which the frictional effects are negligible. I think there the frictional effect is varying from here to here, and this region there is no frictional effect, that is known as irrotational port flow region. Okay. The thickness of this boundary layer increases in the flow direction. So flow direction is from left to right. The diameter, the radius of the tube is r, smaller, and the thickness of the boundary increases in the flow direction until the boundary layer reaches the pipe center and thus fill the entire pipe. Okay, so these two boundary layers, which are symmetric, converges to a point, and then beyond that point, up to this point, or beyond this point, fully developed flow velocity profile is established. Okay. The region from the inlet of the pipe to point at which boundary layer merges at the central line is called the hydrodynamics entrance region, or entrance region simply. And the length of this region is given by LH. I think same as XI or LH. I have taken this slide from one presentation, that's why it's given LH, but LH and XI, what I mentioned in my previous slide, are same. Region beyond the entrance region, when which the velocity profile is fully developed and remain unchanged, is called the hydrodynamically fully developed region. So this is my fully developed regions. And the entry region is same as formula LH 0.05 Reynolds number. D is the diameter of the tube. So it was given Xi by D. There actually D has taken in the right side, so that expression was same. Okay. Now the velocity profile in the fully developed region is parabolic in laminar flow and somewhat flatter in turbulent flow due to the eddy motion and more vigorous mixing. Okay. This is it tells that the hydrodynamics entry line usually takes to be taken to be the distance from the pipe entrance to where the wall shear stress. The shear stress due to the wall reaches within about 2% of the fully developed flow. As you can see, this is my wall shear stress. The wall shear stress decreasing, and then it is when the fully developed region, the wall shear stress is within 2% of the wall shear stress. Okay. As you said, this is tau W is the wall shear stress, because the shear stress is maximum at the wall. That's why the velocity is changing, the velocity profile changing. Okay. And for turbulent region, turbulent flow, Prandtl, I think one Bhatti and Shah, another Ji Kwang developed an equation. The equation is like this: LH equal to 1.359 D, Reynolds number to the power 1 by 4. Remember, the entry length is much shorter in turbulent flow, and it's dependent on the Reynolds number is weaker. Okay, and they have approximated that turbulent flow, the entrance region, it can be given by approximated by 10D. Just multiply 10 with the diameter. If it is a Reynolds number is very small, and if it is turbulent flow, then it can be also given by this expression. So let's solve some numericals. I think that is much more important. The thickness, the first numerical given, the thickness of the laminar boundary layer on a flat plate Zx is approximately given by the equation Zx 5.5 times mu u by v rho to the power square root of to the power half. Show that the transition to the turbulent flow, the Reynolds number based on the thickness instead of on x as in Rex is close to the transition Reynolds number flow in a pipe. So this expression is given Reynolds number Z. The Z is the distance along the flat plate. Okay. Z is given Zx v rho by mu. By if you put the value of Zx in the present equation where Zx is given by this formula, then Rez will be 5.5 mu x by v rho to the power half v rho by mu. and then it's become 5.5 x0 by mu. Now, what is x0 by mu? That is Reynolds number of x. So you can see that Rez is equal to 5.5 nRex. The Rex range, what is Reynolds number for a flat plate? That is, we already know 10 to the power 5 to 3 into 10 to the power 6. So if you put this value, then Rez becomes the square root of this, right? 5.5 into 10 to the power 2.5 to 5.5 into 3 into 10 to the power 6, square root of that. So it's become 1.74 10 to the power 3 to 9.5 10 to the power 3. Now, if you recall your memory, for a fluid flow through a tube, what was the region? I think if it is greater than 3000, it was turbulent flow. Less than 2100, it was laminar flow, and within that range, 2100 to 3000, it was transition region. Okay, so as this number actually is 10 to the power 3. Okay, 10 to the power 3. So laminar flow for Reynolds number typically less than 3 into 10 to the power 3, as I mentioned, right? 3000, right? 3000, less than 3000, then it is known as laminar flow, or actually 2100, 2.1 into 3 10 to the power 3. So you can see this is this region actually within the transition region. Okay, this region is within the transition region, or you can say laminar regions. Two problem: estimate the transition length at the entrance to a 50 millimeter tube through which 100% glycerol at 60 C is flowing at a velocity of 0.3 meter per second. Given the density of glycerol 1240 kg per meter cube. So you know velocity d rho. You just put the value of mu, calculate mu centipoise, convert into Pascal second, and Reynolds number you calculate 56.9. So xi by d equal to 0.05 into Reynolds number Rex. So xi you have to calculate, just multiply it by the diameter of the tube, and you get the transition length 0.043 meter. Another problem for the following situation of steady state flow, determine whether flow is laminar or turbulent. Of a water is 10 degrees C flowing at an average velocity of 2 meter per second in a 100 millimeter pipe. Polymer melt with a density of 900 kg per meter cube and a viscosity of 1 meter Pascal per second flowing at a 0.2 meter per second in 50 meter tube. The first case, all the parameters given, so calculate the Reynolds number is 10 to the power 5 into 1.52. So it's definitely a turbulent flow. Second, because this is you're determining for fluid through a pipe. I think it's given, right, diameter. So this number is very huge. Don't mix it with pipe and plate. This is a pipe or tube. So that is range and more than 3 into 10 to the power 3, that will be turbulent. 10 to the power order of 10 to the power 5 definitely is a turbulent. Second case, it's Reynolds number you get 2.7, so it's very low. That is laminar. Another problem, it is given water at 10 dc flows at a velocity of 1 meter per second over a flat surface, 50 centimeter wide and 1 meter long. Calculate the thickness of the boundary layer at a distance of 5 centimeter from the leading edge. Then number 2, the distance from the leading edge at which transition from streamline to turbulent flow occurs in the boundary layer. And number 3, the thickness of the boundary layer as well as of the laminar sublayer at a distance of 50 centimeter from the leading edge. Density is given 1000 kg per meter cube, mu given 1 millipascal second. Crossover, that is Rex, CR is actually crossover. Crossover means where laminar to transition flow occurs is given by this 3.2 into 10 to the power 5. So this CR stands for crossover. Always remember that. Okay. For X given 5 centimeter, 0.05 meter, you calculate Reynolds number 5 into 10 to the power 4. The boundary layer in the laminar is, so this is actually laminar flow because 10 to the power 4 is laminar flow for a flat plate. Okay. So the boundary layer thickness delta is given by the formula I already talked, 4.64 into 0.05, that is diameter of the pipe, and then Reynolds number to the power square root of 1 by Reynolds number to the power square root of the 1 by Reynolds number. It's given 1.04 into 10 to the power minus 3 meter. Crossover is given this, so you can determine what is the crossover distance, that is the distance from the leading edge at which transition from streamline to turbulent flow occurs. That is the crossover happens. Just divided by Reynolds number by diameter, and you know the formula, right? 0.32 meter. Now, for third problem, X is given 0.5 meter. You calculate Reynolds number. Again, this is the boundary layer. This is turbulent region. Okay, 5 into 10 to the power 5 is a turbulent region. So the boundary layer is turbulent and its thickness So whenever it is in the transition region, you can always take into consideration transition turbulent region. Okay, because I think if you remember this correctly, it was 3 into 10 to the power 5 and 10 to the power 6. That is the transition region. But since this is within the transition region, but still we will consider turbulent flow. Okay, because turbulent flow always dominant over laminar. So the boundary layer uh, is then turbulent flow when its thickness is given by, just like the other formula here, 0.376 into diameter of the tube and 5 into 10 to the power 5 square root of minus 0.2. So that will become 0.0136 meter. And sublayer formula, if you put that value, you calculate 2.68 10 to the power minus. Just using the formula, you calculate. This example, I think it is given velocity profile for laminar flow in a circular tube is given by this formula U. Small u is equal to capital U times 1 minus small r by capital R whole square, where capital U is constant velocity at the center line of the tube. R, small r is the radial distance from the pipe center line. Capital R is the radius of the tube. What is the average velocity? Show that the velocity gradient varies linearly with the radius and determine the velocity gradient at the wall as well as what is the velocity gradient at the center line. So let's see how we approach this problem. I have drawn a schematic. As you can see, this is my capital R is my radius. The dr is actually the small strip in the radial direction where the radial direction that radius is changing. Okay, and the velocity profile is given by small u. Free stream velocity given by capital U. So at the wall, the shear stress is maximum. The resistance is being offered. So the velocity is 0. And as it moves towards the center, velocity gradually increasing. Okay. So that's why it takes the form of a parabolic form. Okay. And this is the cross-sectional view of this. Now, average velocity, how you calculate? The velocity, average velocity you calculate, U average. Just divide volumetric flow rate by the cross-section. Volumetric flow rate is formula is meter cube per second or centimeter cube per second, and if you divide it by tube cross section which is either meter square or centimeter square, then you can calculate average velocity, which will be the unit of meter per second or centimeters per second. So this is very important. Now, what is volumetric flow rate? That is being given by 2 pi ur dr, because if you consider a differential element of a fluid of radius r and the thickness of dr concentric with the circular tube, the fluid element moves with a velocity u, small u. The cross section of the fluid element is, the cross sectional is 2 pi r dr, and volumetric, so cross sectional will be 2 pi r dr. So integrate that 2 pi r dr between 0 to r. That is my cross section. And the volumetric flow rate of the fluid will be within the differential will be 2 pi r dr multiplied by average velocity. That's why I multiplied 2 pi r dr u, and within integrating 0 to r. Why are integrating 0 to r? Because the radial distance with the velocity is changing from center to the wall. That is 0 to r. So this two expression is integrated 0 to pi u r dr and 2 pi r dr. Now, if you just integrate 2 pi r, 2 pi get cancelled. R dr is r square by 2. That's why r square by 2. For the top, I think already u is given a formula in terms of r. So you put the value of u. U equal to capital U 1 minus r by r whole square. Here, capital R is constant, only small r is varying. That is why r dr terms in come. Because in this direction only radius is changing. So you have to integrate over the whole radius. So if you integrate that numerator, it's become 0.5. You can do it by yourself. Okay, that is become 0.5 u. Now, second case, it was asked to calculate. So you calculate average velocity 0.5 u. Second case, show that the velocity gradient varies linearly with the radius. So if you velocity gradient, so actually you have to take first derivative of velocity with respect to r, so that is du by dr. Now u is given this formula, so this will be u minus 2r by r square. Okay, so it will be 2 ur r square. So you can see the velocity gradient du dr varies linearly with the radius small r. Now at the wall, small r become capital R, right? So du by dr will become 2 ur. You put the value of capital R, it will become minus 2u by r, and at the center line small r 0, so du by dr 0. So you can see that the velocity is varying from 0 at the center to the maximum. Velocity gradient varying 0 at the center line to the maximum at minus 2u by r at the wall. And the velocity is opposite, 0 at the wall and maximum at the center. Another problem, the similar problem, the velocity profile for Tableau Pro in circular tube. In a smooth circular tube is given by small u is equal to capital U times 1 minus r by r to the power n, where n is given 1 by 7 for value of Reynolds number up to 10 to the power 5. And n is given 1 by 8 for value of Reynolds number above 10 to the power 5 to 4 into 10 to the power 5. For n small equal to 1 by 7, calculate the average velocity, the velocity gradient at the wall, and the velocity gradient at the center line. So same thing, you just, I have already shown you, you can calculate the average velocity using the formula. So the equation, the relationship is given, you just put the value and then solve for to get this formula. Okay, now it is, instead of square there, it was given n, so it will, that's why n plus 2 and n plus 1 comes to the picture. Now for n 1 by 7, average velocity will be, you just put the value of 1 by 7, it will be 0.817 u. If you substitute 1 minus r by r equal to y, so r become 1 minus y into capital R. So dr is minus r dy. So u, this u become u, capital U into r to the power n, y to the power n, because we have substituted 1 minus r to y. So du by dr is become 1 minus r du by dy. And then du by dy, you can take this. What is du by dy? Du by dy will be n, du by dy will be u n y n minus 1. So that's, and then if you put the value of y, then it's become like this. And at the wall, r is equal to r, so du by dr is 0. And at the center line, du by dr minus nu by r. For n 1 by 7, you put the value of n 1 by 7, it become minus u by 7. Okay. So it's just you calculate this, and then you at the wall, you know r is equal to r. So if you put r is equal to r, this expression becomes 0. So du by dr is 0. And at the center line, you become this like. Okay.